In the arms of the angels.
I don't know the rest of the
I don't know.
lyrics, but
Yeah,
salute to a sinking ship that we knew was sinking from the start. Am I right?
yeah. Danny, down goes Danny Nichols. You can see it right there. What a career he's had so far up with the Giants. We say with a whole bout of sarcasm, but
I mean, hey, he was in a sense a fired. He's in a sense a fired QB. Still got that fully paid out deal he got from the Giants. So hey, I mean, I'll take a few million off your hands though,
we just got done
Danny.
recording the Jets video. But next one up is probably going to be a Giants GM, especially after Hard Knocks. Man, the amount of ridicule they're catching for letting Saquon go and Givens.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think it was also wasn't it between the GM and the coach making that decision? Did the coach say like, no, don't let like we shouldn't let him go or something like
I
that? I
don't know.
forget.
I
It
don't
was
know.
bad. Basically, even everyone agreed because I. It's funny because they were the first off-season team, and it's
Yeah.
so funny it has to be the Giants only because of all the stuff that came out. And I think it's again very interesting. I would like to see what GMs go through post like after the season's over and stuff like that. But of all the teams to start with, the Giants, man, because the Giants was a shit. Actually, no, that was the correct team to start with because you got content from the NFL standpoint.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, let's. You never pay the quarter, or you never pay the running back, right? It's always you always pay the quarterback. That's just he's the guy leading your offense. But the quarterback in this situation is one Daniel Pennies Jones, and
Right?
he is not him. Like
You already took his You already took his nickels from him, man.
he's down to pennies now. He's gonna be in debt in a minute. Uh, he was argue. I mean, I don't know what the organization was thinking giving him that contract. I mean, they could have easily given Saquon a 3-year deal, gone into the because I think they had a high draft pick. They probably could have gone in and got some talent, rebuilt that team from the ground up, and then probably gun for a win now move in the following season. But they doubled down on Daniel Jones, and now they owe him money. Like that's it, right? That's where they are.
Um, I think ever since that season that Daniel Jones first came in with Brian Dable, that was the season that defined that obviously they paid him off of, right? He was able to he was able to run with the ball. He was able to
That
throw
iconic
the ball.
that iconic play will always be when he had like the 80-yard run, and then the turf monster came up and grabbed him against the
Yo,
Eagles.
I think that's the one the turf monster always gets his due, right? So,
The troll
and it's
toll.
funny because like for the seat, well, overall in his career, 14,582 yards and 70 touchdowns to 47 interceptions. That's a big interception mark, mind you. I think it's one thing to also just touch on his rushing because he did a lot in the rush game. Like like in terms of his rushing yards, he well for 2024 season he's already had 2 touchdowns, but I think his best season, which was that 2019 season, oh no, still 2 touchdowns, 279 yards. But it's how he was able to. He's not a dual threat. I will say this: he's not a dual threat
But he
quarterback.
can run.
He can run though. Like he has legs underneath him, so you can actually use that to your advantage. Which the thing about Brian Dable, he did. Brian Dable when he first came in, I remember a lot of the commentary was on like, you know what, Daniel Jones is not the best quarterback, but Brian Dable knows how to get the most out of his whole team and Danny Jones. That's where it all started. That's when Danny Jones had his big season where he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I mean,
You don't need a degree in advanced analytics to know, right? Like that team was rolling on Saquon's back. Like Daniel Jones numbers when he's not in versus when he is in,
if you
like night
if
and
you
day.
have a generational running back, why not?
Yeah.
It was simple, and I think they lost off. I forgot how they lost in the playoffs that year, but now they're 2-8. And I think they had to
Brian Dable
definitely
won
say,
Coach of the Year with, I think, didn't he, with Daniel
yeah,
Jones?
because he knew how to like he took that. I think that's like what is it like the motivator coach archetype where he takes the team that's already there and he's like, no, y'all are better than what you think you are, and they brought wins with that first year, but they never was able to get that back. I think ever since that season, the only thing that Danny Jones has done is like get more yards. I think that it was in 2022, but he didn't have the touchdowns. He had less interceptions, but only 15 touchdowns. It's just bad all the way through. And in short, Giants fans, no one wanted Saquon Barkley to go, but that's what your front office, they made that decision for you. And then of course you paid, you paid Daniel Jones that deal. I think that was back in 22 or 21, either or, that was based off that 2019 season only. Because the next season, right after, in 2020, mind you, it's 2020, he went 11 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, sub 3,000 yards, But I mean, what can you do? They basically they said, you know what, we messed up. We gotta just hop on Daniel Jones train, which I don't know why they did because they're gonna have a
Dude,
number one pick yet again.
There was a point this season. This is long overdue. Let's just like call it how it is. There was a point in the season where he was throwing more touchdowns to opposing teams than he did to his own players. Like he didn't throw it. He didn't throw a touchdown until like in the last couple of weeks. Or maybe.
Oh yeah, that was this year, right? Where it was like he hasn't thrown Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a home touchdown since like last season or something like that, and that's just sad. So, and the fact that it went from a meme page, like all the meme channels and pages out there was doing all this, until next thing you know, the sports analysts themselves were like, yeah, so this is bad, and we all knew it was bad. I think we all knew that you shouldn't have signed Daniel Jones. You took an L with that one, and I'm surprised that their GM isn't on the chopping block, because I know Brian Dable's about to get kicked out.
He definitely is. Like, there's too many bad mistakes. If anything, the only talking point is, what does this mean for Brian Dable? Because I think Joe, what's the GM's name? Joe something.
Something. It's not Joe Douglas.
Maybe. He I think he's good as gone. I mean, there's footage of him making the decisions that he's making, right? And that's
Joe Schoen or Schoen, basically a lot of in the past some days, a lot of articles are out saying that he's not popular in the locker room and stuff like that. Because you're part of building that team and trading and acquiring pieces, which I don't know how you let go of Saquon Barkley. Just pay the man.
I mean, well, that's the argument, right? Like, okay, you never pay the running back. Between the quarterback and running back, you never pay the running back.
He was our best player on their offense. Yeah, but
Saquon was the quarterback at that team. Like,
I promise you, let me be my armchair GM. I would have paid Saquon, not the highest paid.
Let Danny Jones test the market. Who the fuck wanted Danny Jones? He wasn't.
I will go with any other quarterback, but as long as I got Saquon Barkley, we have an offense around Saquon Barkley, and then we need a serviceable QB to come in and then provide. I don't need you to be a hero. I just need you to protect the ball.
And there were plenty of them out there. Like, that's the revival that these comeback quarterbacks are having right now. But what does this mean for Brian Dable? Do you think he's fighting for his job? Like, is he just auditioning for the next?
He's been on the hot seat. He is on the hot seat. I know they've had their wins and stuff like that, but Brian Dable's because he came in the same time he worked with Danny Jones from the get-go, and even with other quarterbacks in place, they haven't really got many wins. I think Brian Dable's going to be out. I just feel like for the Giants, as well as obviously just like the Jets, they need a clean house.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's not a matter of when you reset, it's how fast you can reset. That's what I think keeps these organizations going.
And they're in New York. You have to also remember, New York is like the capital of the media.
Yeah,
so
for
both the Jets and the Giants this season, it's not looking good. And then everyone's going to know you're not doing good. So Brian Dable knows. Yeah. He knows it. I hate to be him walking around like New York. You're going into like a bodega or something like that, and then someone's just calling you like, "Yo, you suck."
Yeah, and they will do that out there too.
Oh yeah, I could tell you that much. But otherwise, I think he's out. I think everyone's out the door. I think the GM should be out the door too. If they keep the GM, your problems are going to continue because he's also a part of who built your team and stuff like that.
Bad decisions, right? Yeah, those are the consequences that we're seeing.
Yep, and otherwise, and they have DeVito. They have Tommy DeVito is back up again, the mafia. But it's funny because they have Drew Lock too, which he had a really good season with the Seahawks when he was starting and stuff like that. But what sucks is that he's just backing up DeVito. So maybe they at least have a bridge quarterback with Drew Lock. He's fresh. I don't know why you didn't just go with him over DeVito. Unless they know DeVito more so than Drew Lock.
Hindsight's 50-50, but you could have thrown a Drew Lock back there with a Saquon Barkley and paid Drew Lock minimal money, and you probably would have been way better off than they are right now.
Facts. And it just depends on how your coaching staff will take with the pieces in place, right? So I think they need to clean house some coaching and from the front office standpoint. So get a new GM and whoever else you need.
Any other thoughts before we take off here?
It sucks to be a New York football fan this season. That's all I know.
Why is it always?
Except unless you're a Buffalo fan. I mean, they're up there. They just beat KC. They brought them their first loss of the season. But otherwise, in the city or New Jersey with the Jets, Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here at Miss Reps. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time.
Peace.